Big Pharma, more like Big Scam. My intention today is to persuade the United States Committee on Finance that pharmaceutical companies shouldn't overcharge for drugs. I will discuss the problems of overcharging for drugs, the solution to these overpriced drugs, and the benefits to the solution. Americans are forced to pay an absurd amount of money for their basic health necessities. Big Pharma knows this, and rather than lowering the price of these drugs, they use it to exploit the sick. Pharmaceutical companies are in the business of making a profit at the expense of Americans, sick Americans. According to the Center of American Progress, from 2012 to 2017, the cost of prescription drugs has nearly increased 10% every single year. This increase of price has led to things such as insulin rationing. Insulin rationing is when people use less insulin than required in order to save some and help it last longer. This therefore leads to allow them to save some money. However, this in the long run is a life-threatening tactic. This can lead to diabetic ketoacidosis, which is an extremely fatal condition. A study done by Professor William at the University of Pittsburgh found that dramatic drug price increases led to much higher outpatient costs and a decrease to appropriate drug treatment due to access issues and pricing issues, proving that pharmaceutical companies are greedy and create customers rather than cures. We just discussed the problem with overpriced drugs, and now we'll discuss the solution to the issue of these overpriced drugs. So, a solution that can solve all these problems is establishing a single nationally funded health program that would help create one program all along. 3 decades of cost studies done by the Congressional Budget Office showed that this could be done by expanding the Medicare program. This would create an efficient system in which doctors, hospitals, labs, and pharmacists bill the government for their services rather than private insurance companies as they do right now. This model has been proven and works exceptionally well in New Zealand. There, the government has set up a semi-autonomous corporation called Pharmac. This corporation contains the cost of prescription drugs, allowing to save hundreds of lives and allowing these sick, poor people to get the drugs that they need. Pharmac is the only agency in the world that decides both what medicines to fund and manage a fixed cost budget for these medicines. Pharmac negotiates with the companies that sell these drugs of medicine down, and with the saved money that they have, they reinvest those savings into other drugs. Now that we discussed the problem with overpriced drugs and the solution to these overpriced drugs sought by Big Pharma, I'll now discuss the benefits of being fairly charged for these drugs. If Medicare was expanded, it would immediately take nearly $1 trillion out of Americans' $3 trillion healthcare bill, reducing the cut private insurance companies take for profit, CEO salaries, marketing, administration, and billing. With reducing the cost of these drugs, it can save hundreds of thousands of lives because they're finally be able to afford what these life-saving drugs that they need. Americans won't be caught up trying to decide whether to pay for rent or for medicine. To help make a change, please contact the United States Committee on Finance by calling 202-224-4515. Today, my intention was to persuade that the United States Committee on Finance that Big Pharma shouldn't overcharge for drugs. I discussed the problem of overpriced drugs, the solution to these overpriced drugs, and the benefits of the solution. The pharmaceutical industry doesn't create cures, they create customers.